would you recommend, and if so, at what stage in learning, would you recommend to change the mobile phone to the language, to your target language, change the radio, watch only movies in that target language that you're trying to learn, and so on, especially if you don't live in that country?
Yes, I would do it, because I think the problem with, again, traditional teaching system is that we have one class during the week, 60 minutes or 90 minutes, or maybe 2 classes. Okay, but that's not enough. When little kids, as you said, learn languages, they have so much input every day, and they hear the language every day so many times. And I think this is something that we can imitate and that we can learn from children, like having a lot of input in the target language and really surround ourselves with the target language so that we have somewhere to take from. I think this is the problem with traditional teaching and learning systems, that we have very little material that we can use to create our sentences, because we don't hear it. We don't absorb it as sponges, as you said. So I think we need the input so that we then start to remembering, oh, I heard that once, maybe I can use it in this context because it sounds like a similar situation. And sometimes you don't even understand the grammar, you don't understand the rules, but you just use it because you feel it's right and it's correct in this specific situation. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I would recommend learning like kids for maybe 80%, and then a little bit like adults, like learning a little bit about the grammar, about the rules, but maybe from 20%, but not the other way around.
Okay, so we should meet at the playground more often and try to communicate in another language.
And also one thing that came to my mind when you spoke about the kids at the playground and the shovel, when they have a problem and they are unable to express it with words, they start to cry or they hit the other kid, right? And obviously it's not the perfect solution, or it's not the perfect way how to solve those situations, but they solve it. They use gestures, hands, their voice. It doesn't necessarily needs to be the language or the words or perfect grammar. So this is also something we can learn from kids, like use other techniques to communicate, and not only the language and a perfect, flawless language.
Yeah, and I would say that gives you fantastic feedback if you're able to communicate, and if you get to the point where you have this huge feeling of success, that you, in a language that's not your mother tongue, were able to discuss something or agree on who gets the shovel or not. Even though sometimes we need gestures, that's totally fine and legit, and maybe later on you can use the words. Yeah, you said this feeling, that's something I would also like to underline, to feel how it should be, which word to use, or which declensions you discussed. So a weekend, for instance, we talked about that, o weekendu. There's a U there. And this happens when you are exposed more often to native speakers who use the language in a correct way. So at some point, you don't have to think of all these charts and tables that in theory you have in your textbooks and you can learn. For me, it didn't work so well. And then, yeah, when you try to and start to speak more from the heart, and automatically that's where the real fun, I would say, begins.